idea that I want to explore is how tribal consciousness / root chakra is the first spiritual area we need to digest in order to feel safety in our body and our being. And why it is like this is because we're starting to evolve our consciousness from a group onto our individual self. And the tribe is not, as a collective, interested in the self. There's no gain in the self-strengthening itself. It's just bad for the group. And the group consciousness is its own being. And this is where I find it very interesting. It's its own being unconsciously. We can see this if we study groups, if we study different societies, different countries, that there is this natural flow of energy distribution. We have the leader that takes the big decisions and distributes the energy as well in the group. They make the decisions and the rest follow. If one were to go from the group, there is this disharmony. The person is not plugged into the group consciousness, and the other people that are plugged in feel threatened. And this is so interesting. And this is where my worries about religion and the more dark aspects of human consciousness come in. That we need to be in groups in order for society to work. So there needs to be this certain fear that we want to fit into the status quo, so that we are part of the flock, the tribe, so that we can survive. Because on our own, just alone by ourselves, we're very powerless, because humans are quite weak. We're not that big in size. We're not that strong compared to other animals. We're not that quick. So together in groups, we've learned how to harness fire, tools, and even language we've used as a group to communicate our goals and needs, to work as a whole. But by ourselves, it's much more difficult. So it's very strong in us that we need each other. Our chances of survival increase, of course, in numbers. So there's this unconscious belief that we need to be fitting into a group, or else we will die. That's the unconscious belief. And this can be shown if we think about school, for example. This is a very tribal consciousness place where children are taught the rules, the social rules, in order to fit in. And it can be very savage and brutal. There's so many hierarchical understandings that get taught in schools, in the social aspect, popularity, bullying, fitting in to the status quo. It's such a boot camp on this. And as we grow older, we've learned these new rules. And we get taught that it will not fly. It will not work to be as savage in the real world. We can't bully people when we are adults and start working. So it becomes more passive-aggressive. It's not as savage, but there's still the rules, even though they're more vague. And the most interesting thing is that the rules get internalized. So instead of bullying people, quite literally, in groups, we have the remembrance from when we were in school to teach us the laws of the tribe consciousness, what we need to do in order to fit in and so on, that they're internalized so that we have the new rules and laws with us in every other group setting. And this internalized law can be seen as your inner dialogue, your inner critic that tells you and warns you internally when you're about to do or say something that is not in status quo. So when we go onto a spiritual path and we start to question the status quo, we realize that what everyone else is doing is not optimal for our well-being and our health and our just everyday satisfaction. So we start to feel a bit alienated because we feel like we don't fit into society anymore. We feel like we're so different from everyone else. And this is a natural unfolding of this starting to question everyone else waking up. But it's dangerous if we get stuck here. If we get stuck here, we're starting to separate even more. And believe me, I've been there and I'm still dealing with this. It's very hard to not feel the separation in this. But what I've done recently is that I really try to see people as they are a part of me and that I am a part of them. And I try to remind myself, because I do have Chiron in the 11th house in whole sign house system, and I do have a very strong feeling of alienation. So I've tried to remember and give myself the affirmation that I belong here. I can be here. Just affirming my wounding of not feeling like I can take place and not feeling like I can fit into the tribe. And this is where community is so healing for us, for the root chakra. We need other people. And when the society. Looks like it does. We can't really have resistance towards it because it is a reality. It's just how it is at this moment. And feeling like a natural welcomed part in society, not having resistance or feeling like a victim towards society from your inner child, because it's very common, I realized, that we have this victim feeling towards the school system because it is so savage and brutal. But it's kind of like what has to happen. It does set us up in a quite good way in order to break from the mold, from the status quo eventually, because the rules are so internalized. So that we feel so much fear, so much separation, because we feel like we have to abide to the tribe. And the fear of not doing that scares us so much that we push down our natural traits. And this pain of doing that is a lot of times what puts us on the path, on the spiritual path. So it's the contrast of being in your soul expression and having pain from the reality of conditioning. So I think I just wanted to talk a bit about this and awake this concept in your awareness of how do you feel towards society and the tribe. Do you have resistance towards the group, humanity as a whole? Or do you feel like you love your collective? Because when you do have resistance and you do feel like you don't trust people and you project, maybe you have issues with your parents who are the first archetypes of the father and mother archetype, the divine, your relationship to Mother Earth, your relationship to God comes from your parents. Do you have issues there? Do they create separation? Do you have resistance to men? It's very common for women to have that. Every part of resistance you have towards your fellow people will harm you, since it really is the first step on the spiritual path is the root chakra. And I find it kind of funny that I'm like processing this now. I've been on the path for, since I was 18, and I'm 31 now. And I've done a lot of work on myself, up and down, and wanting to go faster than I can, and meeting the consequence of that, realizing what responsibility is, dealing with my inner child, And now I feel like I'm feeling this natural pull towards exploring the root chakra. And a good recommendation here can be Anatomy of the Spirit by Carolyn Myss. It's a very good book, and she is amazing to really process the root chakra. Because if you feel at home in the world and in the collective, there's this safety and natural love that comes up. And really what the spiritual path is about is deconditioning from your upbringing and attuning into the truth that we are all one. So working on the separations towards the tribe can also help you not be as triggered when it comes to expansion. Because a lot of times we don't want to expand because we have beliefs that if we put so much focus or get seen so much, we feel unsafe. And unsafe towards the tribe, it's always the tribe. So if you do this work, if you focus on the root chakra, if you focus on your relationship towards the collective and the group, and you start to really work on a groundedness and a safety in the world, you will be much better off in your expansion and your growth as a person. I think that is what I wanted to talk about today. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.